In this video, I'm going to talk about something that's called gaslighting, and a lot of people who have experienced gangstalking and are targeted people, or they've been victims of personalized harassment and organized stalking, know what gaslighting is because they've experienced it. However, if you don't know what gaslighting is or how effective it can be psychologically as a weapon, and all of these things that I'm going to be talking about in terms of gang stalking and harassment are things that are oftentimes they can be subtle, but they are very direct, and they're done in such a way as to be used as a weapon against somebody. And it's very disturbing. It can be frightening. But gaslighting is one of these things, and it's very powerful. But it's very powerful, but it's also very subtle. And the more subtle it is, the more effective it is. And gaslighting is oftentimes refers to break-ins of your residence while you're not at home, and having some maybe a frivolous item, such as maybe you left a pen on the counter and the pen is missing a component, like it's out of ink all of a sudden, and you knew it was okay before, or maybe it's a different shade of color, and so you get home and you notice that this pen that you knew was there, you knew, and you left the house and you remember it was there, is now a slightly less bright shade of red, and then you think to yourself, gee, that's very strange. I don't know why. And you start thinking of explanations. Well, are my retinas, going out? Am I seeing red as a more dull color now? Or did somebody come in and switch the pens out? I mean, and then you start thinking, well, if that's the case, then what's going on here? That doesn't make any sense at all. Well, it actually does, and it is a very real thing that happens, and it's very deliberate. Again, it's very directed, and it's meant to be confusing. It's meant to be subtle. If it wasn't subtle, it would be a very weak thing to do. It wouldn't be effective at all. The more subtle it is, the more it makes you question the more it makes you focus on the ridiculousness of such an event even happening. So the whole goal is to make you question your own judgment, to make you question your own memory, and in a lot of cases, it makes people, especially after it's been done repeatedly, it'll make them question their own sanity, because you can't rationalize why this would happen. Well, this is all by design. It's all very much on purpose. It's not very difficult to do something like this. It would be something just as simple as the pen example. It might be anything. It could be, in fact, the term itself comes from an old movie where a husband tried to make his wife believe that she was losing her grip, and then her perception was off by dimming and brightening the lights, which were gas powered, and she would mention to him, "Are the lights brighter? I know that I feel the oil, the gas pardon me, the gas, I know they should be bright, but they seem just as dim as 6 hours ago. Why? And he would respond in a way and say no. His perception, he was giving the impression that his perception was actually right, but that she couldn't see the difference, and so it causes somebody to reevaluate their own memory, and it's very very consistent, and it doesn't really take that much to it doesn't take that much to uh, employ some method like this on somebody. In fact, I don't recommend doing this because it would be kind of a mean thing to do, but you can do it to your own coworkers or to people you know on a smaller scale. I'm not talking about actually breaking into their residence and changing something, but you can do it in an office setting, and it's done in these settings as well. And but you can do this on a small scale to someone else, and you'll notice you can, if you were to do that, depending on the person, you might start to notice that they act, it's very concerning, because your ability to notice details and memories and all this is very important, even though it seems like a small thing. So this is something that's used against people who are experiencing gang stalking and who are targeted in this way, and I have personally experienced this as well. My own experience with gaslighting, and I've had several that I know where it was enough of a difference to where, and I'm actually referring to changes in my residence, and with me it was coming home from work one day and noticing that someone had gotten my mail while I was at work and left it on my dresser top. And they had left it in a pile, and it had a note sandwiched in between the letters that was a blank note with a little small piece of, it was a small note that was wedged between the letters, and this particular note had been in one of my personal dresser drawers, and I know that I hadn't moved it out. So I called up a few family members who I knew had been to my house recently and said, did you come by and somehow come and bring me my mail? And of course they said no, it wasn't us. I asked my landlord, did you come in while I was gone and bring me my mail? I was ready to tell him thank you. Wow, I kind of didn't like that they had been in, without asking me, but I figured it might have been the landlord, might have been family members, and of course they all said no. And then that's kind of when I realized, okay, yeah, this is something this is a very noticeable case of gaslighting, where I was intended to notice that it was there and that my personal items had been moved, but yet it was subtle, but it was certainly intended to be noticed by me. And this is one example. I've had other occurrences like this happen before, but this is one prime example of noticeable gaslighting, and it can absolutely have a strong effect on someone. And if you don't know what's going on, or you're just have kind of started to experience some of these things, it's especially scary and disturbing. So just wanted to, I think that's a very important part of all of these things that seem that come about when you're going through something like this. So I wanted to discuss that. So if you don't know much about gaslighting, certainly if you've experienced it, then you know quite a bit about it firsthand. If not, I would definitely recommend to look up that old movie and watch it. Um, do a little bit of research on gaslighting. It's a very interesting topic.